In any room where power is being decided, there's this invisible system at play. And it's not about who's the loudest or who has the most impressive resume. It's a silent, almost biological current that decides the hierarchy before anyone even says a word. And what we're going to do right now is decode that system so you can finally navigate.
Now, look, that isn't just some cool line from a movie. It's basically a fundamental law of social physics. It describes this deep biological system of influence that is hardwired into all of us. And it's one of those things that once you see it, you could never, ever unsee it.
The best way to think about it is like a hidden operating system that's always running in the background of every single human interaction. It's silently sorting people into leaders and followers, into predators and prey. And the main variable in that whole equation, it isn't action, it's the deliberate absence of action. So let's pull back the curtain and really see how this thing works.
Okay, so in this first section, we're going to dive into how this system actually works. And it does it by weaponizing the brain's most primitive, most hardwired instincts. We're about to find out why stillness creates this kind of gravitational pull that just forces everyone else to revolve around you. This is it. This is the central paradox we're unpacking today. How is it possible that less effort, less movement, less visible doing somehow translates into more authority, more competence, and more control? Well, the answer lies in a trap that almost everybody falls into without even knowing it.
Let's make this real for a second. Picture a scenario we've all been in. You're in a high-stakes meeting, right? Your career could literally depend on this one conversation. You want to look competent, you want to look competent, you want to look like you're in control. But your body has other plans. Your heart starts racing, your palms get sweaty, and you feel this overwhelming urge to just do something, to prove you belong there. This is exactly where the trap is set.
And that feeling, it has a name. Kinetic panic. You know what I'm talking about. It's the pen tapping, the legs shaking, the constant shifting around in your chair. It's that rapid, repetitive head nodding to show you're listening when what it's really signaling is that you're desperate for approval. Every single one of these little movements is like a signal flare, broadcasting to everyone's primitive brain that you're nervous, you're insecure, and ultimately you're low status. You're not just being energetic, you are literally leaking power. And here's the really damaging part. The long-term price of living in that state of kinetic panic is something called status atrophy. It's this slow, quiet decay of your perceived authority. You might have the best ideas in the entire room, but because your body is broadcasting vulnerability, your influence just gets discounted, subtly but surely. It's this quiet, devastating process where you lose ground just because you couldn't stay still. So this really presents a choice. On one side, you've got the reactive state. That's where your nervous system is being managed by the environment. You're reacting to every glance, every comment, every little shift in the room's energy. But on the other side, you have the sovereign state. Here, you're a state of stillness, of mastery. You are not being controlled by the room, you are the stable anchor in the room. And the most important part? This is a choice you can actually make.
Okay, so now that we get the problem, let's switch gears and get strategic. How does stillness actually create dominance? Well, there's a very precise 4-stage mechanism going on here. It's a kind of feedback loop that builds a nonverbal center of gravity.
Let's break this loop down. Step 1 is the Kinesic Freeze. This is just consciously cutting out all those little fidgety micro movements. No more adjusting your clothes, no touching your face. You basically become a stationary object. Step 2, the oculomotor lock. Your eye contact is steady, your blink rate is low. This signals you're the observer, the watcher, not the one being watched. Now, step 3 is the real leverage point, the reaction lag. When somebody talks to you, you don't jump to respond. You build in a deliberate pause. This is the moment control shifts. It shows you're not just reacting, you are choosing your response. And finally, step 4, the ventral claim. You keep an open, relaxed posture. This tells everyone you feel so secure, you don't even need to be on guard. Put them all together, and these 4 steps create a powerful, undeniable presence.
Okay, so we've seen how the loop works, but why? Why is it so incredibly effective? To get that answer, we have to go way deeper, into the oldest part of our brain and look at the neurobiology of how we size up threat and competence.
See, our primitive brain, our amygdala, it uses a really simple, really brutal shortcut to scan its environment. When it sees stillness in another person, it labels that person as one of 2 things, either a high-level threat or a high-level competent operator. But you know what it never, ever labels them as? Weak.
Rapid, frantic movement, on the other hand, is universally coded as prey. This is what's called the apex predator reflex. It's an instinct that's been sharpened over millions of years of survival. Think about it. Predators are calm, they're economical with their movement, they're perfectly still right before they strike. Prey animals, they're skittish, they're constantly moving, they're always scanning for danger. When you're in that state of kinetic panic, you are voluntarily signaling to everyone's deep brain that you're prey. But when you're still, you trigger the reflex that makes them see you as a predator, or at the very least, as someone who is not to be messed with. And this is where it gets really interesting, because our own brain starts working against us through this cognitive bias called the halo effect. When our amygdala flags a still person as high competence, our conscious mind has to scramble to justify that feeling. It observes their stillness, and then our brain just fills in the blanks. We start projecting all these qualities onto them. Wow, they must be intelligent. They're so calculating. They're in complete control. We literally build an entire narrative of authority around their silence, all because our brain took a shortcut based on an ancient survival instinct. So, we've seen the trap, and we understand the mechanics. So the obvious question is, what do we do about it? How do you break this cycle and take back your agency? Let's get practical and look at the toolkit. The first and honestly the most powerful rule is right here in this number, 70%. This is the 70% rule. The goal isn't to become a statue, right? It's just to consciously reduce all your non-functional, fidgety movements by about 70%. That one change, all by itself, is enough to completely flip the script. So here's the full toolkit. First, the 70% rule we just talked about. If you feel the urge to fidget, just take a breath instead. Second, the reaction buffer. Practice that 1 or 2 second pause before you speak or react. This is what breaks the submission loop. Third, oculomotor grounding. Hold your gaze. If you have to look away, do it slowly, do it deliberately. Don't dart your eyes around like you're looking for an escape. And fourth, ventral exposure. Keep your posture open, your hands visible and still. This signals security not only to everyone else, but to your own brain too. And what's so crucial to understand here is that these techniques, they're not about faking confidence. They're about using your body to change your internal state. By controlling your movement, you actually stabilize your own nervous system. You shift from being reactive to being sovereign. So this isn't just about managing what other people think. It's about reclaiming your own focus and your own internal control. All right, let's bring this all together. What we've been talking about here isn't just a list of body language tricks. It's a fundamental shift in how you think about and project your own power and presence. It's about moving from frantic action to just grounded being. And that, right there, is the ultimate takeaway. So many of us are taught to perform effort, to look busy, to seem engaged, to constantly signal that we're participating. But as we've just seen, all that often does is broadcast neediness. True authority, it doesn't need to perform. It's a presence. It's a state of being that creates its own gravity, drawing respect and resources to it without ever having to chase them. So the final thought I want to leave you with is this. The person who moves the least so often is the person who owns the room. By understanding the biological mechanics we've just gone through, you can step outside of this invisible system and actually choose your role in it. The next time you walk into a high-stakes environment, just remember this one principle. Stop performing effort. Become the anchor.